The world doesn't close its doors to you. Your own subconscious does. And there is one sentence, a hidden command that tells it to stop blocking you and start working for you. In this video, you will learn the exact words to speak to your subconscious, the words that change rejection into acceptance, lack into abundance, and fear into faith. This isn't theory, it's the timeless law. Your subconscious obeys the command you give it. And once you know how to issue the right command, doors open where walls once stood. We've all been there. You try so hard sending applications, working late, praying for a change, and nothing happens. It feels like the universe is against you. But the truth is simpler. Your own mind is running the wrong program. I will show you how to reprogram it with one sentence that begins to move life in your favor. One sentence can move mountains, open doors, and change your destiny. Most people never discover it. But once you say it, the world begins to rearrange itself for you. This is not wishful thinking, it is the hidden command of your subconscious. In the next few minutes, I'm going to show you exactly what that sentence is, why it works, and how to use it to unlock the doors that have been closed to you, whether in love, in health, or in wealth. Think of the frustration you've carried, working hard, trying everything, yet life feels like a locked door. That door isn't locked by chance. It's locked by the commands you've unknowingly been giving your subconscious. But once you speak the right command, the lock turns, and life begins to open. Together, we'll uncover the forgotten law of the mind, the simple practice of scientific prayer, and the missing sentence that transforms fear into faith, lack into abundance, and closed doors into open paths. And I'll show you why so many people fail to use this law correctly and how you can avoid their mistake. Stay with me, because what you're about to learn will not just inform you, it will reprogram the deepest part of your mind. And once you change that, everything else must change. Here's something most people completely miss. When life feels stuck, when opportunities pass you by, when no matter how hard you push, the door just won't open, it isn't because the world is against you. It isn't because you were born unlucky, or because some mysterious outside force has singled you out for struggle. The truth is far simpler, and much more shocking. The lock isn't on the outside at all. It's inside your own mind. Think about it like this. Your conscious mind is the gardener. It's the one planting seeds day in and day out, through every thought you think, every belief you hold, every word you speak. Your subconscious mind, on the other hand, is the soil. It doesn't argue, it doesn't analyze, it doesn't stop to ask, is this seed good or bad? No, it just accepts what's planted and makes it grow. If you keep dropping weeds into that soil, thoughts of fear, doubt, resentment, inferiority, then you shouldn't be surprised when you walk outside and see a field of weeds blocking your way. The door isn't locked by fate. It's locked by the suggestions you've been feeding yourself, often without realizing it. And here's where the stakes rise. Because the subconscious never stops working, day and night, while you're awake, while you're asleep, it's taking those seeds and bringing them to life. If you've been telling yourself, I'll never succeed, guess what? That seed takes root, and the soil faithfully brings forth more and more of that reality. If you whisper, no one wants me, your subconscious doesn't question it, it simply produces experiences that prove you right. The lock is self-made, but it feels invisible, because it's hidden deep inside. Now, this is what changed everything for me when I first discovered it. Once you understand that the subconscious is not some passive memory bank, but a powerful builder, you realize why so many doors have remained closed. It isn't bad luck. It's simply the subconscious following orders. And the shocking part? It follows orders, even when those orders are hurting you. Once the subconscious accepts an idea, it executes it faithfully, just like a ship's crew carrying out the captain's command. If the captain steers toward the rocks, the ship obeys without hesitation. And many of us, without knowing, have been steering our own ship straight into the rocks. So let me ask you, how many times have you walked into a room, into a job interview, into a conversation, already carrying the belief that they won't pick me, or this won't work out? That's the command, that's the seed. And your subconscious, loyal servant that it is, follows it to the letter. The door that could have opened closes. Not because of the world, not because of bad luck, but because of the inner lock you unknowingly installed yourself. And this is where we begin the shift. Because if the subconscious is capable of faithfully carrying out negative commands, it's also capable of carrying out positive ones. If it can shut doors, it can open them. If it can block, it can also release. The soil doesn't care whether you plant weeds or wheat. It will grow whatever you put into it. And in just a moment, I'm going to show you how to plant something different, something powerful, something that opens the doors that have been locked for far too long. What I'm about to share might seem counterintuitive at first, but once it sinks in, it changes the way you look at every thought you've ever had. Most people believe their subconscious is some mysterious, complicated, almost mystical force that decides randomly whether life will work in their favor or not. But the truth is far simpler, and in many ways, far more humbling. The subconscious is not your judge. It's not your critic. It's not even your parent trying to guide you with discipline. It is, at its core, your most loyal servant. It takes whatever orders you give it and carries them out with perfect obedience. Now pause on that for a second, because the implications are enormous. If you tell this servant, "I can't," it doesn't argue back. It doesn't try to talk sense into you. It simply nods and says, "As you wish," and then goes to work building circumstances that match the command you just gave. If you whisper, "I'll never get out of debt," it doesn't laugh. It doesn't shake its head. It doesn't correct you. It just takes that as the marching orders and quietly goes about arranging events so that debt continues to surround you. And the opposite is just as true. When you dare to declare something positive, "I am healed," or "Doors are opening for me now," your subconscious accepts that too and begins to shape the outer world until it matches the inner command. This is why Joseph Murphy often compared the conscious mind to a captain and the subconscious to the crew. The captain stands on the deck, charts the course, gives the directions, and then leaves the crew to carry them out. The crew doesn't argue. They don't second guess. They simply obey. If the captain says steer toward the storm, the crew will steer straight into it, even if it leads to disaster. And this is what so many of us have been doing without realizing it. We've been captains, giving reckless orders not because we're evil or foolish, but because we didn't know the power of our words, the gravity of our inner dialogue. We mutter to ourselves, "Nothing ever works out for me," and the crew, ever faithful, nods and says, "Yes, sir," and adjusts the ship to make sure nothing works out. And here's the remarkable part. The subconscious doesn't just take these commands in waking moments. It works most powerfully when the conscious mind, the captain, is resting, relaxed, even drowsy. That's why Murphy taught that the best time to impress an idea is right before sleep or just after waking, when the critical, reasoning part of you has stepped aside. It's in those quiet, in-between states that the servant listens most attentively, and whatever you whisper in that moment is taken as gospel truth. That's why someone who falls asleep every night muttering, "I'm always broke, I'm always tired, I'm always alone," wakes up to a life that reflects those very conditions. The servant has heard the command and has been faithfully working to fulfill it. So let me ask you this. What commands have you been giving? Not just the obvious ones you say out loud, but the silent ones, the inner monologue, the constant background chatter in your mind? Because every sentence, every word, every belief, whether whispered in fear or shouted in confidence, is a command. And the subconscious doesn't pick and choose. It doesn't say, I'll take the positive but ignore the negative. No, it accepts all of it. It carries out the full list of orders, good or bad, and delivers them into your reality. That's why you must treat this servant with reverence. That's why you must guard your words like a captain guards his compass. And when you begin to see your subconscious, not as some random mystery, but as a loyal servant waiting on your word, everything shifts. Suddenly, you realize you are not powerless. You are not at the mercy of luck or fate or outside forces. You are the one giving the orders. You are the one planting the seeds. You are the captain of the ship, and your subconscious, obedient and tireless, will steer you toward whatever you tell it. The question is, will you keep steering toward the rocks, or will you finally learn to give the command that opens the safe harbor, the one that opens doors instead of closing them? Because here's the secret we're building toward. The servant has been waiting all along for the right command, not a weak command filled with doubt, not a hesitant order that says, maybe this will work, but a clear, simple, undeniable statement that the subconscious can seize, accept, and execute. And once you know that sentence, once you speak it with conviction, you'll find that the doors that seemed locked tight begin to swing wide open. And in just a moment, I'm going to show you exactly what that hidden command is, and how to make your servant obey it. Here's the part that most people stumble over, and it's the part that explains why their affirmations don't work, why their prayers go unanswered, why they keep repeating positive words only to see negative results. The subconscious mind does not respond to idle chatter. It does not respond to words that are empty or hollow. It responds only to belief. And that's why Joseph Murphy said over and over again, your subconscious mind is principle, and it works according to the law of belief. That law is as unbreakable as gravity, as certain as sunrise. What you truly believe, with feeling, is what becomes your reality. Let me say it in plain language. You can repeat a phrase 1,000 times, but if deep down you don't believe it, the subconscious won't act on it. You can say, I'm wealthy, until your voice is hoarse. But if the feeling inside is one of fear, lack, or doubt, that deeper vibration is the true command. The subconscious is not fooled by empty words. It listens to the emotion behind them, the conviction that fills them. If the feeling contradicts the words, the feeling wins every time. This is why someone can pray for healing while secretly believing that their illness is incurable, and they remain sick. This is why a person can affirm prosperity while secretly envying the wealthy and believing money is evil, and they remain in lack. The subconscious obeys what you feel is true, not what you wish were true. Now here's where the stakes are enormous. Because belief is not just about religion, or faith in a higher power. Belief is the engine that drives every single part of your life. It is the code that runs in the background of your subconscious mind, and whatever program is running there, that's the reality your life will display. If you believe you are unworthy, life will faithfully provide experiences to confirm your unworthiness. If you believe opportunities always pass you by, then even when the perfect chance comes along, you'll find yourself blind to it, or sabotaging it, or walking away from it without knowing why. But if you believe, truly believe, that doors open for you, that the universe supports you, that abundance flows to you, then your subconscious goes to work, aligning circumstances, stirring up ideas, drawing in people, and arranging events until that belief is expressed in your reality. Think of it like soil again. If you plant a seed and then say, I don't think this will grow, the soil doesn't care about your doubt. But the moment you pour that disbelief into the ground, you stop watering the seed, you stop nurturing it, and eventually you dig it up to check if it's working, and the plant never has a chance. But when you believe, when you water it every day, when you trust that the process is unfolding beneath the surface, even before you see results, the soil responds with growth. The law of belief works the same way. It doesn't matter how grand your words are if the water of faith is missing. Without belief, nothing grows. With belief, everything becomes possible. This is why Jesus said, according to your faith, be it done unto you. That wasn't a poetic flourish. It wasn't a metaphor. It was a psychological truth. Whatever you accept as true, whatever you wrap in the feeling of certainty, that is exactly what your subconscious will create in your life. And it doesn't care whether that belief is good or bad. That's the danger, and that's the promise. If you believe in failure, you get failure. If you believe in sickness, you get sickness. If you believe in abundance, you get abundance. The law does not discriminate. It simply obeys. So let me ask you this. What do you believe right now? Not what you say in front of others. Not what you write down on a vision board. What do you feel in the quiet moments, in the pit of your stomach, when you're alone at night? Do you believe life is for you, or against you? Do you believe doors open or close? Because whatever that answer is, that is the command your subconscious has been carrying out without resistance. And here's the hopeful part. Beliefs are not fixed in stone. They can be changed. They can be reshaped. You can uproot an old destructive belief and plant a new one that serves you, one that supports you, one that unlocks the doors instead of barring them shut. And in a moment, I'll show you how to craft a sentence that does exactly that. But for now, remember this above all. The subconscious works by law. And that law is belief. Not words. Not wishes. Not hope. Belief. Once you learn to harness that law, you will see doors open where walls once stood. Here's the part you've been waiting for. We've been circling around it, setting the stage, showing you why so many doors remain closed and why belief is the hidden law behind every experience. But now it's time to open the curtain and reveal the command itself, the one sentence that, when spoken with conviction, begins to swing the doors of opportunity wide open. And remember, this is not magic in the sense of superstition, and it's not just positive thinking dressed up in fancy clothes. This is a law. The subconscious obeys the law of belief, and when you give it a clear, direct, emotional command, it goes to work to make that belief your reality. The sentence is simple. It doesn't need to be long, because the subconscious does not respond to long speeches. It responds to clear images and strong feelings. The words are, "The doors of opportunity swing open for me now." That's it. That's the command. Simple, present tense, undeniable. And when you say it not with doubt, not with a shrug, but with the feeling that it's already true, you're planting a seed the subconscious must honor. Notice the structure. We don't say, "I hope doors will open." Hope contains doubt, and doubt cancels the command. We don't say, "Someday, maybe doors will open." That's the language of postponement. And the subconscious works in the now. We don't even say, "Doors might open if I get lucky." No. We declare, "The doors of opportunity swing open for me now." It is direct. It is clear. It leaves no wiggle room. Now here's why this particular sentence is so powerful. First, it speaks in the present tense. The subconscious does not understand someday. It only knows now. Second, it creates a vivid mental picture. When you say doors swing open, your mind can't help but imagine a door opening, light flooding in, a pathway being revealed. That image, coupled with the feeling of relief and possibility, imprints itself on the subconscious. And third, it's universal. Whether you're seeking love, health, money, success, or guidance, the symbol of a door opening applies. It communicates to your subconscious that barriers are gone and passage is granted. But let's take it deeper. Imagine for a moment that you're standing before a massive wooden door, heavy and sealed shut. For years, you've knocked, you've pushed, you've tried the handle, you've walked away in frustration, and now, instead of struggling, you speak the command. "The doors of opportunity swing open for me now." As you say it, you see the door move. You hear the hinges creak. You feel the air shift as the door swings wide and the light pours through. That feeling, that sense of release, of breakthrough, is what your subconscious takes as truth. And it begins to adjust your outer world until that inner image is matched. Now, let me tell you why this works even when it seems impossible. There was a businessman Murphy once described who had started with almost nothing, just a tiny shop, no connections, no backing. But each day, he would declare that doors of expansion, doors of success, doors of opportunity were opening for him. He didn't know how it would happen, but he didn't need to know. His job was to issue the command and feel it as real. Over time, ideas came, people showed up, and opportunities appeared that he could never have predicted. Today, what began as one small shop became a nationwide chain, and it all began with a single inner declaration that his subconscious received as a command. And here's where you must be careful, because if you don't deliberately issue a command like this, your subconscious will still be working, but it will be carrying out the negative commands you've been giving it unconsciously. You may have been saying, "Nothing ever works out for me," or people always let me down, or I'm never going to get ahead. And every one of those sentences, spoken with feeling, is also a command. So understand this. You are never not giving commands. Every thought, every word, every belief is a command to your subconscious. The only question is, are you giving the commands that open doors, or the ones that slam them shut? So let this be the moment you turn the key. Say it with me, and say it like you mean it. The doors of opportunity swing open for me now. Don't just repeat it mechanically, feel it. See the doors moving. Imagine the relief and the joy as they open, because the subconscious accepts what you feel as true. And when you feel it, when you believe it, when you repeat it until it becomes second nature, the doors that seemed locked will begin to swing open in ways you could never predict. And in just a moment, I'll show you the traps to avoid the mistakes people make when they try to use affirmations like this and end up sabotaging themselves without realizing it. Because it's not enough to know the command. You also need to know how to avoid the wrong commands that cancel it out. Here's something I need you to understand, and I can't stress this enough. It doesn't matter how many times you speak the right sentence if, at the same time, you're also giving your subconscious the wrong ones. Because the subconscious is like that loyal servant we talked about earlier. It doesn't filter, it doesn't debate, it doesn't choose between good and bad commands. It simply carries them all out with the same obedience. And if your day is filled with casual, negative declarations, those careless sentences can drown out the positive one, not because they're stronger, but because you're repeating them more often, and with more feeling. Think about it. How many times in the past week have you said, "I'm so tired of this," or "I'll never catch a break," or "people just don't like me"? These don't sound like affirmations, but they are. They are affirmations in reverse. They are negative commands. And the subconscious, faithful as ever, accepts them. So the danger isn't just failing to give the right command, it's continuing to give the wrong ones without realizing it. It's like trying to sail north while at the same time shouting, "Turn south, turn south." The ship doesn't know what to do, so it circles endlessly, wasting time and energy going nowhere. And that's why so many people feel stuck. They speak a positive sentence for a few minutes, but they speak negative sentences for hours, and then they wonder why nothing changes. Now, here's another trap: the language of hope. On the surface, it sounds good. I hope this works. I hope things get better. But listen carefully to what hope is saying underneath. Hope is uncertainty, dressed up in polite clothing. Hope says, maybe it will, maybe it won't. And the subconscious hears that doubt, feels that hesitation, and takes that as the real command. You can't plant a seed and say, "I hope this grows." You must plant it with faith. You must water it with certainty. Otherwise, you keep digging it up to check on it, and it never takes root. That's why Murphy said doubt and hope are not your friends when it comes to mental healing. They weaken the command. They cancel it out. Another wrong command is anything rooted in fear, guilt, or inferiority. If you walk around saying, "I don't deserve success," or "I'll always be second best," or "something bad is bound to happen," those are direct instructions to the subconscious, and it will obey them just as readily as it obeys. The doors of opportunity swing open for me now. This is why people sometimes feel cursed, like no matter what they try, life keeps knocking them down. It isn't a curse. It's the subconscious carrying out years of negative programming. Fear, guilt, resentment, and inferiority, they're the four horsemen of self-sabotage, and they whisper the wrong commands into your servant's ear every single day. Until you stop them, until you replace them, they'll keep slamming doors that should be opening. So how do you avoid the wrong command? First, you become aware. You listen to your own words. You catch yourself in the act. The moment you hear yourself saying, "I can't," or "I'm unlucky," or "nothing ever works," stop. Don't let it slip by as just a casual comment, because casual comments are commands, too. Second, you replace it immediately with the right sentence. If you say, I can't, then correct yourself. The doors of opportunity swing open for me now. If you say, I'm unlucky, flip it. Everything I need flows to me in perfect timing. You don't let the wrong command linger. You override it on the spot. And third, you refuse to feed hope and doubt. You move into faith. You declare it as done. You speak it as now. Remember, the subconscious doesn't respond to wishful thinking. It responds to belief, and it responds to clarity. And the more you train yourself to eliminate the wrong commands, the faster the right command takes hold. It's like clearing weeds from a garden so the flowers can finally bloom. If you keep planting roses but never pull out the weeds, the roses get strangled. But if you clear the soil, give it space, and plant the right seed, the roses flourish. The same law applies to your mind. So hear me clearly. Stop giving orders that slam doors. Stop planting seeds that grow into thorns. Stop hoping and start believing, because every careless word, every fear-filled whisper, every guilty thought is a command, and your subconscious, loyal servant that it is, will build whatever you hand it. This is why you must guard your tongue, guard your thoughts, guard your feelings like treasures, because they are the keys that lock or unlock every door in your life. And now that you know what to avoid, we can move into the next level, how to actually plant the command so deeply, so firmly, so unshakably into your subconscious that it cannot help but open doors for you. Because knowing the sentence is one thing, avoiding the wrong commands is another. But the real breakthrough comes when you learn how to impress the command in such a way that your subconscious accepts it as absolute truth and begins to move heaven and earth to bring it into being. And that's exactly what we'll uncover next. What I'm about to share might be the most overlooked secret in the entire process, and yet it's the key that makes everything work. You see, most people think they can simply shout affirmations in the middle of a busy day, while their mind is racing, their phone is buzzing, and their nerves are shot, and somehow expect the subconscious to obey. But the subconscious doesn't work like that. It doesn't respond best when the conscious mind is in full control, analyzing, doubting, debating, and second-guessing. No, the subconscious opens its doors when the conscious mind steps aside, when it relaxes, when it drifts, when it's in that quiet, in-between state where the guard is down. That's why Murphy insisted that the most powerful time to impress your subconscious is in the drowsy state, just before you fall asleep at night, and just after you wake up in the morning. Think of it like this. All day long your conscious mind is like a stern gatekeeper standing at the door of the subconscious, deciding what gets in and what doesn't. And that gatekeeper is skeptical, critical, and often filled with doubt. But when you're drowsy, when your body relaxes, your breathing slows, your eyes grow heavy, the gatekeeper grows drowsy too. His guard drops, the door swings open, and in those precious few minutes, you have direct access to the soil of your subconscious. You can plant seeds there without interference, and those seeds will take root with far greater power than anything you try to force during the noise of the day. Now imagine this. You're lying in bed, the lights are off, and you're drifting. Your thoughts are slowing, your body is heavy, and you're in that hazy space where you're not fully awake but not yet asleep. In that moment, instead of replaying the problems of your day, instead of worrying about tomorrow, you softly speak the command, "The doors of opportunity swing open for me now." You say it slowly, you let the words float. You don't rush. You even move your lips or your tongue lightly, as if to give your body a physical cue, and you let yourself feel it. You imagine those doors swinging open. You imagine the relief, the excitement, the gratitude. You let the picture become real in your mind, and then, as sleep takes you, the command slips past the gatekeeper and drops straight into the subconscious. And the subconscious, loyal as ever, goes to work all night long, building that reality in ways you can't yet see. There's a story Murphy told of a singer crippled by stage fright. She could barely step onto a stage without trembling, but he gave her a practice. 3 times a day, especially before sleep, she would sit quietly, relax her body, and repeat slowly, calmly, "I sing beautifully. I am poised, serene, confident, and calm." No rushing, no forcing, just gentle repetition in the drowsy state. After a week, she walked into her audition and sang with confidence, her fear completely gone. Why? Because the suggestion bypassed her doubting conscious mind and sank into her subconscious. The servant took the command and carried it out. The subconscious doesn't argue. It doesn't say, "But you were afraid last time." It accepts the new order, and once accepted, it manifests. This is why I call the drowsy state the golden doorway. If you only practiced affirmations at this one time just before sleep, you would see changes. Because what you impress in that last waking moment, the subconscious works on all night long. And when you wake in the morning, your first few moments are just as important. Instead of reaching for your phone, instead of letting worry rush in, you can softly repeat the command again. You start and end your day planting the seed, and as the days pass, you notice a shift. Circumstances change. People respond differently. Opportunities appear. It feels like coincidence, but it isn't. It's the law in action. So let me challenge you. Tonight, when you lie down, instead of replaying your mistakes, instead of drifting into sleep with anxiety, take those minutes to speak your command. Whisper it like a lullaby to your own soul. The doors of opportunity swing open for me now. Say it gently, with gratitude, with faith. See the doors move. Feel them open. Let that be the last thing you carry into sleep. And when you rise in the morning, let it be the first thing you say again. You will be astonished at how quickly the subconscious accepts it and begins to transform your outer life. And remember, this is only one way to plant the seed. There's another method, just as powerful, that uses the imagination not just to say the words but to see them as a living picture. We call it visualization, or the mental movie. And when you combine the spoken word with the vivid image, the subconscious has no choice but to accept it as true, and that's exactly what we'll explore next. Now let's go deeper, because words alone, while powerful, can sometimes remain flat if they're not paired with imagination. The subconscious doesn't just respond to sentences, it thrives on images, on pictures, on scenes that are wrapped in emotion. That's why visualization, or what I like to call the mental movie, is such a powerful way to plant a command. Think of it like this. When you watch a film, you don't just hear words, you see the story unfold, you feel the tension, you laugh, you cry. Your mind forgets that it's only a movie, because the image on the screen bypasses logic and goes straight into your feelings. Visualization works the same way. When you form a vivid scene in your mind and inhabit it with feeling, your subconscious accepts it as reality and begins working to make it so. Here's something most people never realize. The subconscious doesn't distinguish between a vividly imagined experience and a real one. That's why you can wake up sweating after a dream, heart racing, body trembling, even though nothing really happened. The subconscious was convinced. And it moved your whole body as if the event were real. In the same way, if you can picture yourself walking through the open door, shaking hands with the person who welcomes you, smiling as you step into the opportunity, the subconscious takes that as truth. And once it's accepted as truth, life arranges itself to reflect it. So let's make this practical. After you've spoken your command in the drowsy state, the doors of opportunity swing open for me now. Close your eyes and imagine the door itself. See it clearly, picture it in detail. Maybe it's a grand wooden door with golden handles, or maybe it's a glass door opening to a bright new office, or maybe it's a simple doorway leading into a room filled with laughter and connection. Whatever image feels alive to you, use it. Now imagine it opening. See the light spill through. Feel the breeze of fresh air on your skin. Step through in your imagination. Who's there to greet you? What do they say? How do you feel in that moment? Let the scene play like a short film in your mind. JosephMurphy himself used this very method when he wanted to sell his home. Instead of worrying, instead of complaining, he simply imagined a bold red "Sold" sign planted in the yard. He pictured himself smiling, shaking the buyer's hand, feeling the joy and relief of a completed sale. He repeated that image over and over, until it became real to him. And before long, the right buyer appeared, and the house was sold. He didn't force it. He didn't beg. He simply formed the mental movie, filled it with feeling, and let his subconscious take care of the rest. And that's the key feeling. You can't just watch your mental movie like a detached observer. You have to step into it. You have to feel the excitement, the gratitude, the sense of victory. You have to let your heart race with joy, as if it's already happening, because the subconscious doesn't take orders from cold, lifeless words or dry, empty pictures. It takes orders from whatever you feel. The more real you can make it inside, the faster it becomes real outside. Now, some people will say, but isn't this just daydreaming? And the answer is no. Daydreaming is aimless. It wanders. It entertains. Visualization is directed. It's intentional. It's a deliberate planting of a seed. It's you standing before the soil of your subconscious and saying, this is the image I want you to grow. This is the movie I want you to produce. And because your subconscious is the most faithful servant you'll ever have, it begins working immediately to make the inner image an outer reality. So let me give you a challenge. Tonight, after you whisper the command in that drowsy state, don't just let the words drift away. Turn them into a movie. Picture yourself walking through a door into a new chapter of life. Maybe it's a door to a better job. Maybe it's a door to vibrant health. Maybe it's a door to love. Whatever it is for you. See it, feel it, live it, make it vivid, make it joyful, make it real. And the more you replay that movie, the more your subconscious accepts it as fact, until it has no choice but to produce it in the outer world. And here's the beauty of this method. It doesn't matter if you don't yet know how it will happen. You don't need to know. Your conscious mind always wants the details, the steps, the plan, but the subconscious doesn't need steps. It only needs the destination. It's like setting a GPS. You don't tell it every turn you're going to make, you simply enter the address. Visualization is how you enter the address. And once it's entered, your subconscious begins guiding you, nudging you, arranging events, bringing you people and opportunities, until you arrive exactly where you've pictured. So now you see. The command is more than words. It's words plus image plus feeling. When those three come together, the subconscious has no resistance. It accepts the order, and it goes to work. And in the next part, I'll show you how to seal that process with the most overlooked ingredient of all, gratitude. Because gratitude is the signal to your subconscious that the order has already been fulfilled, and that's when the doors not only open but stay open. Now we come to something so simple, and yet so overlooked that most people miss it entirely. You can speak the command, you can form the image, you can even feel the emotion, but if you want to lock it in, if you want to signal to your subconscious that the work is already done, you must add gratitude. Gratitude is the final seal. It's the stamp of approval on the order. It's the signal that tells your subconscious, this isn't just a wish. This isn't just a maybe. This is reality now, and I'm thankful for it. And when you reach that state of thankfulness, not for something you're hoping will happen, but for something you feel has already happened, the subconscious accepts it as fact. It stops treating it as a possibility and begins treating it as a reality it must fulfill. Think about the way you act when you've already received something. You don't beg for it. You don't plead. You don't keep asking over and over. You simply say, thank you. That's it. And that thank you carries a sense of finality. It carries closure. It carries certainty. If someone hands you a gift, you don't stare at them and keep asking, please give it to me. That would be absurd. You simply accept it, smile, and say, thank you. Gratitude does the same thing with your subconscious. It shifts you from asking to receiving, from hoping to knowing, from someday to now. Murphy often taught that one of the most effective affirmations ends with the phrase, and I give thanks. Why? Because those three words wrap the command in a feeling of completion. They tell your subconscious, this is done, I accept it, I'm grateful for it. And gratitude is powerful because it's not just intellectual, it's emotional. When you say, I give thanks, you feel lighter. You feel joy. you feel peace. And those feelings are exactly what your subconscious listens to. There's a story, Murphy, used about a salesgirl who couldn't sell a pamphlet on reincarnation. She tried and tried, but every attempt failed. Why? Because inwardly she doubted the very thing she was selling. Her attitude was skeptical, and the subconscious picked up that doubt. Then, she made a shift. She began to feel grateful, to feel joyful, to feel convinced that people would want what she was offering. Her inner state changed, and suddenly the pamphlets sold out. Nothing else had changed, the product was the same. The people were the same, but her inner gratitude broadcasted a new vibration, and the subconscious worked with that vibration to produce different results. And here's why gratitude is so crucial. Gratitude lifts you out of fear. It lifts you out of lack. It lifts you out of that nagging voice that says, "But what if it doesn't work?" Because you cannot be grateful and doubtful at the same time. They don't coexist. The moment you say, "Thank you," with sincerity, doubt has no room to breathe. Gratitude is like sunlight, it burns away the shadows of fear. That's why I call it the seal. It locks in the command and protects it from the corrosive power of doubt. So here's how you apply it. When you speak the command, the doors of opportunity swing open for me now. Add a simple phrase at the end, "and I give thanks." Then pause. Feel the thankfulness. Imagine that the doors have already opened, that the opportunity has already arrived, that the healing, the wealth, the love, the breakthrough is already yours. Let gratitude wash over you as if you've already received it. Because as far as your subconscious is concerned, you have. And the more you live in that state of gratitude, the more your whole life begins to shift. People notice it. You smile more. You carry yourself differently. You stop begging life to give you something, and you start walking as someone who already has it. And ironically, that very shift is what draws more good to you. Because gratitude is magnetic. It broadcasts abundance. It says to the universe, "I am open, I am receptive, I am overflowing," and the universe, faithful as ever, answers back with more to be grateful for. So let me give you a simple practice. Each night, after you've spoken the command and played the mental movie, end with gratitude. Say softly, "Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you." Let those words fill you. Imagine them sinking deep into your subconscious. And as you drift to sleep, let that gratitude be the last note your mind hears. Do the same in the morning. Wake up, stretch, and before the day floods in with its worries, whisper, "Thank you. The doors of opportunity are open, and I am walking through them." Make gratitude the bookend of your day, and watch how quickly your subconscious reshapes your reality. And now, we're ready to take everything we've learned, the command, the image, the gratitude, and apply it to real areas of life. Because it's one thing to understand the principle, but it's another to see it in action, in health, in wealth, in relationships, in every corner of your existence. And in the next part, I'm going to show you exactly how to take this command and use it to open doors in the places where you need it most. Here's something I want you to let sink in deeply, because it can change the way you look at your body forever. The same law that opens doors of opportunity in your career or your finances also governs the door to health. Your subconscious mind is not just the builder of circumstances, it is the builder of your body. It regulates your heartbeat, repairs your cells, heals your wounds, and directs the entire orchestra of your physical being. And because it is the builder, it responds to the blueprint you hand it. If you hand it fear, if you hand it images of sickness, if you hand it beliefs that illness is stronger than you, it will build a body that matches those orders. But if you hand it life, if you hand it strength, if you hand it the conviction that divine health is already yours, it will rebuild your body in the image of that belief. Murphy would often say, there is only one healing power, and it goes by many names: God, life, creative intelligence, nature, subconscious power, whatever name you use. The truth is the same. The subconscious is the physician within. And once you accept that, healing takes on a whole new dimension. You begin to see that medicine, surgery, or treatment can certainly help, but in every case, it is the subconscious that actually does the healing. The cut heals not because you wish it to, but because your subconscious knows how to mend skin. The bone knits not because of your conscious effort, but because the subconscious follows the law of life and reconstructs tissue. And this power doesn't just respond to accidents or surface wounds, it responds to your beliefs, your commands, your inner images. There are countless stories of people who turned to this power and saw results that baffled doctors. Murphy told of a man diagnosed with skin cancer who refused to surrender to fear. Instead, he repeated over and over, "This growth has no power. It is only the shadow of false beliefs. Divine life is healing me now." He imagined his physician smiling and declaring, "You are healed." And within weeks, the growth vanished. How can such a thing happen? Because the subconscious accepted the command, and the body, which is its servant, reshaped itself to match the belief. And before you dismiss this as fanciful, remember, the placebo effect is nothing less than this principle in action. People have taken sugar pills, believing them to be medicine, and their bodies healed. Under hypnosis, a person touched with a piece of ice has developed blisters as if burned, because the subconscious believed the suggestion. What does that tell you? It tells you that the body follows the mind. It tells you that the subconscious doesn't need the physical cause to create the physical effect. It needs only the belief. So how do you open the door to health with the hidden command? You begin by speaking to your body through your subconscious. At night, in that drowsy state, you say, "Every cell, every nerve, every tissue of my body is filled with divine life. The doors of radiant health swing open for me now, and I give thanks." You don't beg, you don't plead, you declare it as fact. Then you imagine it. You picture yourself walking strong, smiling, glowing with energy. You imagine your doctor saying, "You're in perfect health." You see it, you feel it, and most importantly, you end with gratitude. You thank your body for healing, you thank your subconscious for carrying out the order, you thank life for the vitality flowing through you. And let me ask you what happens when you approach your body this way, not as an enemy to be fought, but as a partner that responds to love and faith? What happens when you stop feeding it fear and start feeding it life? The answer is simple. The door to healing opens. Slowly for some, quickly for others, but inevitably, because the subconscious is law, and it cannot deny a command spoken with conviction, pictured with clarity, and sealed with gratitude. So let this be your practice. When you lie down tonight, instead of worrying about your body, bless it. Speak life to it. Declare health over it. See yourself already whole, and walk forward tomorrow, knowing that the hidden command is working in your favor, opening the door to healing from the inside out. And once you grasp that the same law that heals the body can also heal your financial life, you'll begin to see why Murphy declared, "It is your right to be rich." Because just as the subconscious obeys the command for health, it obeys the command for wealth. And that's the door we'll open next. Now let's turn to the door that so many people knock on for years without ever realizing that the key was in their own pocket all along the door to wealth. Joseph Murphy said it plainly, and without hesitation, "It is your right to be rich." And he didn't mean that in a selfish, greedy sense. He meant that abundance is the natural flow of life, that prosperity is not reserved for a lucky few, and that lack is not a badge of holiness or humility. He taught that money, opportunities, success, these are all forms of the life principle expressing itself, and just as your body has the right to health, your mind has the right to wealth. But here's what most people miss. Wealth is not first about the numbers in your bank account, the salary on your paycheck, or the balance of your investments. Wealth begins as a belief, it is a state of mind, it is a conviction planted in the subconscious. And whatever conviction you carry is what the subconscious will faithfully reproduce in your outer life. If you believe that money is evil, if you secretly resent people who prosper, if you tell yourself over and over, "I don't deserve more," then you are giving your subconscious the command to keep you in lack, and it will obey. It won't argue. It won't protest. It will simply shut the doors and keep them shut, because that's the order it has received. And this is where envy and resentment become so devastating. Think about it. If you look at someone else's success and you feel bitter, what are you really saying to your subconscious? You're saying, wealth is bad. Success is undesirable. Keep it away from me. And your subconscious, loyal servant that it is, listens. It keeps prosperity out of reach. Not because it's cruel, but because it's obeying your command. That's why Murphy urged his students to bless others' success, to celebrate it, to say, thank you that there is so much good in the world, and I am part of it. Because when you admire and bless, you align yourself with the vibration of wealth, and your subconscious receives the order, yes, wealth is good, bring more of it. So how do you open the door to prosperity with the hidden command? You begin by removing the negative programming. You stop saying things like, I'll never get ahead, or money slips through my fingers, or I wasn't born lucky. Those are wrong commands, and they slam the door shut. Then you replace them with right commands, short, simple, present tense affirmations that your subconscious can accept without resistance. Murphy suggested repeating words like wealth, success in the drowsy state over and over until they sink in, or saying, by day and by night, I am being prospered in all of my interests. Notice how gentle that is. It doesn't clash with your current state. It doesn't create inner resistance. It simply affirms a flow, a continuous prospering. And of course you visualize it. You create the mental movie. You see yourself paying your bills with ease. You see yourself living in the home you desire, doing the work you love, giving generously, walking in freedom. You feel the relief of abundance. You feel the joy of financial freedom. You let that image soak into your subconscious until it feels normal, until it feels inevitable. And then you seal it with gratitude. I give thanks that wealth flows to me now. I use it wisely, constructively, and joyfully. Gratitude shifts you from begging for money to receiving it as already yours. There's a story of a man who had struggled financially for years. He worked hard, but no matter how much he earned, he was always in debt, always behind. Then he began using this command every night. I am being prospered now. The doors of abundance are open for me, and I give thanks. At first, nothing seemed to change, but slowly, opportunities began to appear. He was offered a promotion. He met people who opened doors for him. Ideas came to him that he never had before. Within a year, his financial life was transformed. What happened? He didn't stumble onto luck. He changed the inner command, and the subconscious rearranged his outer world to match. And let me make this clear. This isn't about sitting in a chair and chanting while waiting for bags of money to fall from the sky. No. When you plant the right command, you also feel inspired to act. You take steps you might have avoided before. You walk with a new confidence. You recognize opportunities you used to overlook. You go the extra mile in your work. And all of that is your subconscious guiding you, opening doors you didn't even know existed. So let this be your practice. Tonight, when you enter that drowsy state, speak it. The doors of prosperity swing open for me now. I am being prospered in all my ways, and I give thanks. Say it gently. Feel it as true. Picture it in detail. And let gratitude lock it in. Then carry that mindset into your day. Bless others' wealth. Refuse to envy. Refuse to curse money. Treat every dollar you have with respect and joy, knowing it is part of the infinite flow. And watch how quickly your subconscious, once given the right command, begins to open financial doors you thought were sealed shut forever. And if this law can do that for wealth, imagine what it can do for the deepest desire of every human heart, the desire for love, harmony, and connection. Because the subconscious doesn't just open doors to health and prosperity, it opens doors to relationships, to happiness, to peace. And that's where we go next. Now let's open a door that nearly everyone longs to walk through, though few realize that the key is not in someone else's hand but in their own, the door to love, harmony, and fulfilling relationships. People often believe that relationships are dictated by fate, by chance encounters, or by the whims of others. And while circumstances do play their part, Murphy taught that the deeper truth is this: your subconscious attracts, and sustains relationships according to the beliefs and images you hold within yourself. In other words, you don't get the love you wish for, you get the love you believe in. Think about it. If deep down you believe that you are unworthy of love, if you believe that people will always hurt you, if you repeat to yourself that there are no good men left, or all women are untrustworthy, then those very beliefs become commands, and your subconscious, faithful as ever, arranges your experiences to match. You may meet someone who looks promising, but your subconscious, following your inner orders, nudges the situation toward disappointment, sabotage, or heartache. It isn't that you're cursed. It isn't that life is cruel. It's simply that the inner command is still saying, I am not loved. I am not chosen. I cannot trust. And the subconscious obeys. But here's the liberating truth. Just as those negative beliefs can close doors, new beliefs can open them. When you begin to declare, I am worthy of love, I attract harmonious, faithful, kind relationships. The doors of love swing open for me now. You're issuing a new order, and your subconscious begins to act on it. You notice different people. You respond differently. You give off a new vibration, and people are drawn to that vibration. The outer world shifts because the inner command has changed. There was once a woman who constantly fell into relationships with partners who were unkind and unfaithful. She kept asking, why does this always happen to me? But when Murphy spoke with her, he uncovered that she had grown up repeating to herself, men can't be trusted, because of what she saw in her own family. That belief had become a hidden command, and so her subconscious faithfully attracted people who fulfilled it. He taught her to reverse it. Each night, before sleep, she began saying softly, I attract only loving, loyal, kind partners. I am worthy of devotion and respect. The door to true love is open for me now, and I give thanks. At first it felt strange, but over time, it sank in. Her attitude shifted. She stopped entertaining those who treated her poorly. She carried herself with a new confidence. And eventually, she met someone who matched her new belief, a man who loved her with loyalty and kindness. The subconscious had obeyed the new command. And this isn't only about romantic love. Harmony in families, friendships, and even workplaces follows the same law. If you constantly think, my boss hates me, or my coworkers are impossible, or my family will never change, then those thoughts act as orders, and the subconscious shapes your experience accordingly. But if you start saying, I radiate peace and goodwill, I am surrounded by kindness, the doors of harmony are open now. You begin to feel different, to act different, and others respond to that. Your subconscious also influences the energy you project, and that energy is contagious. The more love and harmony you carry inwardly, the more it shows up outwardly. Now let me ask you this. What would your life look like if you stopped waiting for someone else to change and instead changed the command within yourself? What would happen if you replaced, I can't trust anyone, with, I attract trustworthy friends? What if you swapped, I am always lonely, for, I am surrounded by love and connection? The answer is simple but profound. The door to love and harmony would swing open, not because the world suddenly changed, but because your subconscious began carrying out a new set of orders, and the world had no choice but to reflect it. So here's a practice for you. Each night, as you drift into that drowsy state, whisper, I am worthy of love. I radiate kindness. I attract harmonious, faithful, loving relationships. The doors of love and harmony swing open for me now, and I give thanks. Then picture it. See yourself embraced. See yourself laughing with friends. See yourself walking hand in hand with a partner who adores you. Feel the warmth of connection. Let gratitude seal it in. And carry that feeling into your daily life. Walk with it. Speak with it. Let it radiate from you. And soon, you'll notice that the people you meet, the way they respond, the opportunities for love and friendship, all begin to change. Because your subconscious, given a new command, is opening the right doors. And when you understand that the same law can guide you not only in health, not only in wealth, not only in love, but even in your creativity, your intuition, your inner guidance, you begin to realize there is no area of life this law does not touch. The subconscious is not limited to healing or money or relationships. It is the invisible compass that guides you into solutions, ideas, and breakthroughs you could never reach by logic alone. And that's the door we're about to open next. Now we step into one of the most fascinating and liberating aspects of this law, the door to guidance, intuition, and creativity. Because health and wealth and love are wonderful, yes, but what about those moments when you're standing at a crossroads and you don't know which way to go? What about when you need an answer to a problem that seems unsolvable? Or when you're staring at a blank page, a business decision, a creative block, and nothing comes? This is where most people panic, overthink, or exhaust themselves trying to figure it out with brute force. But Murphy taught something so profound and so freeing. The answers you need, the guidance you seek, the creativity you long for, already exist within your subconscious mind. The door is already there. You simply need to command it to open. Think about the genius of inventors, artists, scientists, writers throughout history. Tesla didn't just sit at a desk grinding equations until he collapsed. He would retreat, quiet his mind, and let entire inventions appear before him fully formed, as if someone had already built them in another dimension and handed him the blueprints. Beethoven would hear symphonies in his mind before ever touching a piano. Writers often say entire stories download into their imagination. Where does this come from? It comes from the subconscious, the infinite intelligence within, the wellspring of ideas, the silent guide that knows more than your conscious reasoning ever could. And here's the most practical part. You can access this guidance anytime you choose, if you know how to give the command. Murphy taught a simple but life-changing practice. Before you sleep, you present the problem to your subconscious as if you were speaking to a wise and faithful servant. You say, "Infinite intelligence within me, reveal to me the answer. The solution is mine now. I give thanks for the guidance." Then you let it go. You don't toss and turn. You don't try to figure it out consciously. You simply trust. And more often than not, you wake up with an idea, a nudge, a thought, or even a sudden clarity about what to do. Sometimes it comes in a dream. Sometimes it strikes you while you're brushing your teeth the next morning. Sometimes it arrives as a calm, unshakable knowing that this is the way. There's a famous story of a businessman Murphy described. He had an important contract to secure, but no idea how to approach the deal. Instead of worrying himself sick, he went to bed repeating, "The infinite wisdom of my subconscious guides me now. The right answer is mine." The next day, an idea flashed into his mind, an approach so simple and brilliant he almost laughed. He tried it, and the contract was his. That wasn't luck. That was the subconscious answering the command. And this applies to creativity as well. If you're an artist, a writer, a musician, or even someone just trying to solve everyday problems, you can treat your subconscious as a collaborator. You say, "Subconscious mind, show me the idea. Bring me the image. Reveal the melody." Then you step back. You go for a walk. You relax. You sleep. And suddenly it comes. Haven't you had that happen? You wrestle with something for hours, get nowhere, give up, and then while showering or driving or drifting to sleep, the solution appears fully formed. That is the subconscious delivering the answer once the conscious stops interfering. But here's the trap you must avoid: worry. Worry is the opposite command. Worry tells your subconscious, "Keep producing confusion, keep producing fear, keep me stuck." It keeps the door shut. That's why the practice of trust and gratitude is essential. When you ask for guidance, you must give thanks as if you've already received it. You must go to sleep in peace, not in panic. That's the seal that tells the subconscious, "This is real. Deliver it." And deliver it, it will. So here's a practice you can start tonight. Take one problem that's been weighing on you. Don't take 10, just one. Write it down in a sentence. Then before you sleep, say out loud, "The answer is mine now." Infinite intelligence within me reveals it. I give thanks for the guidance. Then close your eyes and see yourself receiving the answer. Don't picture the problem. Picture the relief, the joy, the clarity of having solved it. Feel it, and then release it. Sleep peacefully. And notice how often, in the next day or two, the idea comes. Sometimes subtly, sometimes dramatically, but always faithfully. Because your subconscious, when given the command, will always answer. And just imagine what happens when you begin to live this way, not stumbling through life confused and anxious, but walking with a quiet confidence that you are guided, that answers will always come, that the doors of creativity and intuition are open to you at all times. That's when you stop living as a victim of chance and start living as a conscious partner with the intelligence that built the stars and flows through your very breath. That's when you discover that the hidden command doesn't just open doors in health, wealth, and love. It opens doors in every area of life, because the subconscious holds the master key. And now that you've seen how the law applies everywhere, body, finances, relationships, creativity, the question becomes, how do you keep this command alive day by day? How do you make it a way of life instead of just a practice you try once and forget? That's the door we'll walk through next, as we explore the daily disciplines that keep your subconscious aligned and the doors open. Here's the truth you need to hold on to. The subconscious mind is always listening. It never takes a day off. It never goes on vacation. It doesn't clock out when you're tired or overwhelmed. It keeps absorbing, responding, and shaping your life 24 hours a day. And because of that, the most important thing you can do is create daily rituals that give it the right commands at the right times. Otherwise, it will simply keep working with whatever stray thoughts, careless words, and fearful feelings you throw its way. The key to keeping doors open isn't a one-time affirmation. It's consistency. It's repetition. It's rhythm. That's why Murphy emphasized morning and evening above all else. These two windows are the golden bookends of your day. At night, just before you slip into sleep, the conscious guard relaxes and the subconscious is most open to suggestion. Whatever you feed it in those moments is carried with you into the night, impressed deeply while you rest. In the morning, just after you wake, your mind is fresh, impressionable, not yet cluttered by the noise of the day. These are the moments to plant your command, to water the seed, to reinforce the belief that doors are opening. So what does this ritual look like in practice? It doesn't have to be complicated. At night, as you lay your head on the pillow, instead of replaying your worries, you deliberately choose your thought. You whisper softly, almost like a lullaby to yourself. The doors of opportunity swing open for me now. I am guided, prospered, and loved. And I give thanks. You don't rush. You don't strain. You say it gently, calmly, with feeling, letting the words sink into the silence. Then, if you like, you picture the mental movie, the door swinging wide, light pouring in, yourself stepping forward with confidence and joy. And then you let yourself drift off, trusting that the command has been delivered. In the morning, before you grab your phone, before you let the weight of emails and headlines and to-do lists come crashing in, you take a moment to realign. You sit up, breathe deeply, and declare again, the doors of opportunity swing open for me today. Everything I need flows to me in perfect timing. I give thanks. You can even look at yourself in the mirror as you say it, letting your own eyes reflect the belief back to you. This morning ritual isn't about hype or forcing energy. It's about setting the tone, giving your subconscious its marching orders for the day. And because your subconscious is faithful, it will spend the day shaping your experiences to match. Think of these rituals as brushing your mental teeth. You wouldn't brush your teeth once and say, "That's it, I'm done for life." No, you brush every day, because you know neglect builds decay. The same is true of the subconscious. If you neglect to feed it positive commands, negative ones creep in by default. Worry, doubt, criticism, envy, they fill the space. But if you keep up the practice, night and morning, you maintain clarity. You keep the doors open. And let me ask you this. What kind of life would you build if you ended every day in gratitude and began every morning in faith? What kind of doors would open If you gave your subconscious that consistent rhythm, I'll build a every day, tell you, opportunities would flow more easily, peace would fill you more deeply, and you'd carry a quiet confidence into every situation. Because your subconscious, constantly instructed, constantly affirmed, would have no choice but to align your outer world with the inner command. So let this be your commitment, not just tonight, not just tomorrow morning, but every day. Whisper the command at night. Declare it in the morning. Seal it with gratitude. And watch how the rhythm of your days begins to change, how the doors that once seemed locked begin to swing wide and stay open. And from here, we'll build on this foundation by looking at the other crucial practice, watching your inner dialogue throughout the day. Because it's not just what you say in the quiet moments of ritual that matters. It's also what you mutter under your breath, what you tell yourself when you're frustrated, what thoughts you entertain in the heat of the moment. And that's what we'll dive into next. Here's something most people completely overlook, and yet it might be the single greatest reason they stay stuck, even when they practice affirmations faithfully in the morning and at night. It's not only what you say during your rituals that matters, it's what you say to yourself all day long. Because while your morning and evening practices are like planting seeds in the garden of your mind, the casual words you mutter under your breath, the quiet complaints, the passing self-criticisms, are like weeds you scatter without thinking. And the subconscious doesn't know the difference. It treats every word, every thought, every emotional conviction as a command, and it begins to carry it out. So the question becomes, what are you commanding in the heat of the day, when you're not paying attention? Think about the way people speak to themselves when they hit small frustrations. They spill a cup of coffee and mutter, "I'm so stupid." They forget an appointment and sigh, "I can't get anything right." They hit traffic and groan, "This always happens to me." Do you see what's happening there? These aren't just throwaway phrases. They are orders. And the subconscious, always obedient, doesn't laugh and dismiss them. It accepts them. It begins shaping more and more circumstances to fit the command, "I'm so stupid. I can't get anything right. This always happens to me." And suddenly life begins to reflect back more stupidity, more failure, more frustration, not because life is cruel, but because the captain of the ship is carelessly barking orders that steer it into storms. Now imagine the opposite. Imagine training yourself to replace those casual negatives with empowering affirmations. Instead of, "I'm so stupid," you say, "I'm learning, I'm growing, I'm capable." Instead of, "I can't get anything right," you say, "I always find a way forward." Instead of, "This always happens to me," you say, "Everything is working out for my good." At first it feels forced. At first it feels strange. But the more you practice, the more natural it becomes. And slowly, the balance of commands shifts. You give fewer negative orders and more positive ones. You plant fewer weeds and more flowers. And your subconscious, true to its nature, builds accordingly. Murphy would often say, never finish a negative sentence about yourself. That's a golden rule. If you catch yourself starting to say, "I'll never," stop mid-sentence. Replace it immediately. Don't let the wrong command linger, because once it lodges in the subconscious, it begins to bear fruit. So you train yourself. You become vigilant. You guard your tongue, your thoughts, your feelings. Not with harshness, not with paranoia, but with care, like someone guarding a treasure chest, because your inner dialogue is treasure or poison, and it all depends on how you use it. And here's where the analogy of a password helps. Imagine you're trying to log into your bank account, but every time you type the wrong password, the system locks you out. Would you keep typing the wrong word over and over? No. You'd stop and enter the right one. Your subconscious works the same way. Every time you say, "I can't," you're typing in the wrong password. Every time you say, "I'm unlucky," you're typing in the wrong password, and the system locks you out of opportunity. But the moment you replace it with the right password, the doors of opportunity swing open for me now. The system grants access. It's that simple, but it requires awareness. So let me ask you this. What do you say to yourself most often? When you're stressed, when you're tired, When things go wrong, what's your inner dialogue? Because that dialogue is writing the script your subconscious is carrying out. If you want to change your life, you must change the script. You must catch yourself in those little moments and rewrite them on the spot. That's why I tell people to carry a few short affirmations in their pocket, ready to use. When you notice yourself complaining, you switch it. Everything is working in my favor. When you catch yourself saying, I can't afford that, you switch it. Money flows to me in perfect ways. You reprogram yourself, one sentence at a time. And here's the beauty. It gets easier. At first it feels like hard work, but soon it becomes second nature. You'll find yourself automatically choosing better words, better thoughts, better commands. And then life begins to reflect that back to you. Doors open. Circumstances shift. People respond differently, because the subconscious has new orders, and it's carrying them out faithfully. So let this be your practice. Become the guardian of your inner dialogue. Refuse to let careless negatives slip by. Replace them instantly with affirmations that open doors instead of closing them. Because, if you keep your rituals strong, and your dialogue clean, your subconscious will have no choice but to keep opening doors day after day. And now, with rituals in place and inner dialogue guarded, we must address one more crucial piece: living in faith instead of hope. Because, as we saw earlier, hope often hides doubt, and doubt weakens the command. If you want the doors to stay open, you must walk, speak, and live as if the doors are already open. And that's the mindset we'll explore next. This next part might sting a little, because hope is something we've all been taught to admire. From childhood we've been told, don't lose hope. Keep hoping. Hope is all you need. And on the surface, it sounds noble. It sounds uplifting. But here's the truth that JosephMurphy revealed, and once you see it, you can't unsee it. Hope, when it comes to the subconscious, is often the enemy of faith. Why? Because hope is vague. Hope is distant. Hope always points to a future that never quite arrives. Hope whispers, maybe someday. But the subconscious does not work with someday. It only works with now. And when you speak in the language of hope, what you're really telling your subconscious is, I don't believe it's true yet. I wish it were, but it isn't. And that hidden message is the actual command your subconscious accepts. Faith is different. Faith speaks as if it is already done. Faith declares the reality even before the senses confirm it. Faith doesn't say, I hope the door opens. Faith says, the door is open now. And the subconscious responds to faith because it hears certainty, it hears conviction, it hears finality. That's why the scriptures said, according to your faith, be it unto you. Not according to your hope, not according to your wishes, but according to your faith. Because faith is belief clothed in certainty, and the subconscious obeys belief. Let's make this practical. If you're facing an illness, and you say, I hope I get better, what are you really telling your subconscious? That you're sick, that you're not healed, that healing is out in the future, uncertain. But if you say, I am healed, every cell of my body is filled with divine life. I give thanks. What happens? Even if your body doesn't yet look like it, your subconscious accepts that command. It begins working toward it, building it, shaping it. Faith says, it is so. And because the subconscious cannot distinguish between what is vividly believed and what is physically seen, it begins to make the unseen seen. Or think about money. If you say, I hope I can pay my bills, your subconscious hears, I can't pay my bills. But if you say, money flows to me now, I am being prospered in all of my affairs, I give thanks, your subconscious hears prosperity, abundance, flow, and it begins aligning events to match. Hope plants uncertainty. Faith plants certainty. And whatever you plant is what grows. Now, some people struggle with this because they think faith means lying to themselves. They say, but if I say I'm wealthy while my bank account is empty, isn't that just pretending? No, it isn't pretending, it's commanding. It's setting the blueprint. The bank account reflects yesterday's blueprint. Your faith sets tomorrows. When an architect draws a building on paper, it isn't lying. The building doesn't exist yet, but the plan exists, and soon the building must follow. Faith is the plan. Faith is the drawing. Faith is the declaration that what you see on the inside must soon appear on the outside. Hope never draws the plan. It just stares at the empty lot, wishing something would get built someday. And here's the most important part. Faith must be lived, not just spoken. If you say in the morning, "The doors of opportunity swing open for me now," but then you walk through your day slouched, doubting, speaking defeat, you're undoing your own command. Faith means you act as if the doors are open. You walk confidently. You speak kindly. You take bold steps. You move as though the thing you declared is already yours. Because that action reinforces the belief, and the belief reinforces the subconscious, and the subconscious opens the doors. So let me challenge you. Stop speaking the language of hope. Stop saying, "I hope this works," or "I hope things get better." Replace it with faith. Replace it with certainty. Replace it with the language of now. Say, "It is done. It is mine. I give thanks." And then live that way. Walk into every situation as if the doors are already swinging wide, and you'll find to your amazement that they do. Because the subconscious, always listening, always faithful, has no choice but to obey the law of belief clothed in faith. And when you combine all of this, the morning and evening rituals, the careful guarding of your inner dialogue, and the living of faith instead of hope, you create a life where doors are not just opened once in a while by accident. You create a rhythm where doors keep opening, one after another, because the subconscious has been trained, commanded, and sealed with gratitude to work continuously in your favor. And now, as we bring all of this together, it's time to step back and close this teaching with clarity and power. We'll review the ground we've covered, we'll anchor the command deep within you one more time, and then we'll leave you with a final affirmation and a call to step boldly into the next lesson. And now, as we come to the close of this journey, I want you to pause and breathe in what we've covered together. We began with a simple yet profound truth that one sentence, spoken with conviction, has the power to open doors that once felt sealed shut. We saw that the subconscious is not a judge, not a critic, not an enemy. It is the most loyal servant you will ever have. It takes the orders you give it and builds your life around them, whether those orders are life-giving or destructive. We uncovered the hidden law of belief, the principle that your subconscious responds not to empty words but to what you truly feel and accept as true. And from there, we revealed the command itself. The doors of opportunity swing open for me now. Simple, clear, present, certain, a command that bypasses doubt and gives your subconscious a picture, a feeling, an order it cannot refuse. We walked through the methods to plant that command so deeply that it becomes unshakable. The drowsy state before sleep and upon waking, where the gatekeeper of the conscious mind relaxes and the subconscious accepts suggestion without resistance. The mental movie, where you don't just say the words but live them, see them, feel them as real inside. And gratitude, the final seal, the thank you that tells your subconscious, this is done. We explored how this one command applies to every door in life, health, where the subconscious is the builder of your body and responds to images of wholeness and vitality. Wealth, where your attitude toward money, envy, and abundance determines whether the doors of prosperity open or close. Relationships, where the beliefs you hold about yourself and others quietly shape the love you attract or repel. And guidance, where your subconscious provides answers, ideas, and inspiration when you ask, believe, and give thanks. And then we saw how to keep those doors open day after day. We learned the importance of morning and evening rituals, of guarding your inner dialogue throughout the day, of refusing to let casual negativity slip into your subconscious unchallenged. We saw why hope, though praised by the world, is often the enemy of faith, because hope postpones and faith declares. And we understood that if you want the subconscious to act, you must walk, speak, and live as though the doors are already open. So now, I leave you with this final affirmation, and I want you to let it roll over you like a wave. Say it out loud if you can, whisper it if you must, but say it with feeling. The doors of opportunity swing open for me now. I walk through them with faith, with gratitude, and with joy. Everything I need flows to me in perfect timing. I give thanks. Let that sink in. Let that be the password you type into your subconscious every single day until it becomes the only language you speak. And before we end, I want to leave you with a word of warning and a promise. The warning is this. Even now, even after hearing all of this, there are still 3 silent phrases that most people use every day without realizing they're sabotaging themselves. These phrases sound harmless, they slip out unnoticed, but they are like poison to the subconscious. They cancel the command. They slam the door shut. And if you don't know what they are, you could be undoing everything you've just learned without even knowing it. The promise is this. Once you recognize those phrases and replace them, your progress will accelerate like never before. So here's what I want you to do. Don't stop now. Don't let this teaching be the end. Click on the next video, where I'll reveal the 3 hidden phrases that sabotage your subconscious. You need to know them, because until you do, they will keep slipping through the cracks of your mind and undoing your progress. And once you hear them, once you see how common they are, you'll never let them pass your lips again. Remember this as you go. 1 sentence can open doors. 1 belief can change your life. 1 command, spoken in faith, felt in gratitude, sealed in repetition, has the power to move mountains. The doors of opportunity are not locked against you, they are waiting. And with the right command, they swing wide open.